Last week we got to take part in an ancient Orthodox ritual, a day's trip away from Moscow in the historic city of Ryazan. It was an awesome Easter holiday, a great experience, but after all the eggs were eaten and all my candy was melted, I found out that nearby was an entire city preserved in time to honor a single poet, a former peasant that single-handedly spoke to the Russian soul in a way that many have tried and most have failed. So today you're coming along with me while we both learn about the short and beautiful life of Russia's most nostalgic poet, Sergei Yesenin. If you drive anywhere in Ryazan, it's kind of impossible not to see a particular sketch. This one, in fact. This is Sergei Alexandrovich Yesenin. He was born during Tsarist Russia in the small peasant community of Konstantinova, and this actually played a major role in his rise to fame. Yesenin, the son of two peasants who wandered around looking for work, grew up with his grandparents in this small village, living a life that all of his later work would later reflect his iconic nostalgia for those days. You see, Yesenin was the benefactor of education, which was rare for serfdom back then. And Yesenin, being truly a bright star in a dark sky, moved on to secondary education, which again was even rarer for serfs. He graduated with honors in literature, and he moved on from being a big fish in a small pond. He moved to Moscow in the early 1900s, but he left behind this beautiful village that to this day is preserved in time. Every building is original and intact, including his historic schoolhouse, which is right here. So this would be the Zemskaya School. Let's see if I can peek in. You probably can't. Oh, not easily. Boo. So this was...
Don't touch.
I'm not touching, I'm simply reaching in.
With what?
Don't touch the ground, the trees. So this is the school he went to.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Let's see what the school's got for us. Oh. I have it.
This is how it smells in Banya.
Oh, this is awesome.
No videos.
Okay. And even though we couldn't film inside, it was a museum and they had a no camera policy, just across the street you can see the chapels that he prayed at, the church that he attended, and even more importantly, his childhood home. It's cool that they left this undeveloped because it's just this giant field, his school, the little chapel.
This is how the Russian village usually looks like a giant road and...
Super flat. 2 lines of houses. Oh, let's take a peek. This is probably locked, huh? But it does have some cool icons above the door.
Chapel in the name of the Holy Spirit.
Ooh. So this is it. This is Yesenin's childhood home. Wow. Wow, look at this wicked fence. Huh?
Sergei Yesenin planted this tree.
He planted this tree? So
1924.
Wow. Yesenin planted that tree. Look how big it is. Oh, the year before he died. 1924?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the year before he died. So crazy. Let's take a peek. Oh, wow.
He was born in 1895.
Wow, 1895. So in this house, Izhil poet, lived the poet Yesenin Sergei Alexandrovich. Super cool.
This is how life in the village goes. This is the character of our story.
The kitchen.
The Pechka.
Pechka, finally. Real life Pechka.
This is called Lapti, the shoes.
Those shoes,
Made of the birch bark.
the birch bark shoes. Of course, the icon. Lots and samovar. Very important.
Look at this ball. You take this stick with the horn
that's where it goes and gets sucked in.
Yeah, you hook it and just.
Wow. Oh, wow. Living room? Oh, it has the czar.
Видео нельзя, только фото.
Got it. That's the man, the myth, the legend. Sergei Yesenin. Huh?
Bellflowers.
The purple ones?
Yeah.
Wow. There's millions of them. Pretty cool, huh?
Pretty and cool. So this is the east bar for living, not the hall here, but only in summer. It wasn't heated.
Because it's cooler.
Yeah, there is no pechka inside, so they live there in summer. And then they moved to the warm house for winter.
Wow. So this is the threshing barn, the riga. Look at the thatch roofing on this thing. Jeez, this thing's thick. Well, don't go inside, I guess. Little garden made with birch posts.
Very Scandinavian.
So here's the summer izbushka. Thatch roof. You think we can go in?
Maybe no. Not really.
Not really. Well, here, let's see if I can peek inside. They won't stop me from trying. But the glare might.
I think this is the house that we shared with the cattle.
Oh, that's what this... So the cattle stay in this side,
Probably.
and then the humans stay in the wood side.
Sometimes they did that, and they had like a wall behind them.
Oh, that separates the two. There he is, Sergei Yesenin. What do you think the money's for?
Russians usually leave money, like the small coins, at the places where they want to come back.
Want to come back?
Yeah, that's why all of our phones are full of money for some reason.
Touch. Touch. I don't think he cares.
Чего?
Коровье.
Коровье? Да. Сколько стоит? 100. Дайте, пожалуйста, одну. Ой,
А?
налички-то нет.
I have
Можно,
it.
да? Do you have cash?
Amazing. How much?
100.
Worth it. Спасибо большое. All right, we just bought some village milk. I'll tell you one thing. If you want to go on an adventure, you follow the parade. After leaving his village and moving to Moscow, he published his first poem in 1914 called The Birch Tree. And to this day, it's one of his most famous poems. It is read in schools across Russia for its simplicity and its beauty. For many Russians, the symbol of the birch tree is a symbol of summer and their youth, their dachas, a simpler time, a time when life had no responsibilities and was about play and making the best of the world that you had. And part of that understanding comes from this poem. It comes from Yesenin. Now, of course, I could just read you this poem in English, but we are blessed. I actually asked my Russian friend to read this for you guys so you can hear the beauty of the words in its original intonation. So, without further ado, here is Yesenin in his original words, The Birch Tree.
Белая береза под моим окном принакрылась снегом, точно серебром. На пушистых ветках снежную каймой распустились кисти, белой бахромой. И стоит береза в сонной тишине, и горят снежинки в золотом огне. А заря лениво, обходя кругом, обсыпает ветки новым серебром.
Yesenin's literary style is much like his peasant upbringing. It's simple yet deep. It's quiet and nostalgic for more golden days. That's why I think anybody, not just Russians, can relate to this longing for a simpler time. And what a case study he was for that belief. He lived in such a complicated world. He was born an uneducated serf in a rural country town. During his rise to fame, he was a Christian and also a revolutionary. That's right, he was sympathetic to the Bolshevik Revolution. His landowner, because serfs are kind of like slaves but not really, was his friend and a supporter of his, and also was a supporter of the revolution along with him. In fact, her house is still here and it's a museum that you can walk through to this day. The landowner ended up liberating her serfs and even housed them and allowed them to keep their homes here while the revolution took place. According to many accounts, her serfs were very fond of her, and her whole life was subsequently lived in peace with everyone, including her friend Yesenin, which would be an important grounding point during the tumultuous period that lies ahead of him. Because beyond the revolution, beyond going to Moscow and St. Petersburg and having a meteoric rise in Russian literature, Yesenin lived a very fiery life. He had multiple last-minute marriages, including to an American woman, I found out, who neither of them spoke each other's languages. And it's super interesting for me because he married an American in 1922, went to America with her, and by May of 1923, he returned to Moscow. Writing about the experience, Yesenin writes, and I quote, "Russia's recent nomadic past does not appeal to me, and I am all for civilization. But I dislike America immensely. America is a stinking place where not just art is being murdered, but with it, all the loftiest aspirations of humankind. If it's America that we are looking up to as a model for our future, then I'd rather stay under our grayish skies. We do not have those skyscrapers that manage to produce up-to-date nothing but Rockefeller and McCormick. But here, Tolstoy, Dostoevsky, Pushkin, and Lermontov were born." It wasn't long after his return that Yesenin became addicted to alcohol and was more known near the end of his life for fleeing Russia only to return and end up in jail for his drunken antics than for his poetry. His simple life of the country always remained in the back of his head, while he tried his best to navigate a world that didn't make sense to him anymore. And maybe I'm just being nostalgic, but if that isn't just the definition of what many of us feel nowadays, then I don't know what is. In a tragic turn, the world and his sufferings in it became all too much to handle. By 1925, he was found in his hotel room in St. Petersburg, dead. He had hung himself. But not before writing his final poem, "Farewell, my good friend, farewell," in his own blood. To add to this tragedy, there's even a conspiracy theory here in Russia that he was murdered by the state for being a counter-revolutionary, although this most likely can never be proven in any capacity. In any case, Yesenin was a raging star in far too dark of a sky, and the worst part was he felt it. His death was so traumatic for Russia that it even spurred a bunch of copycat suicides by his friends and family alike. One notable example is his ex-girlfriend Galina, who, for instance, committed suicide on his gravestone a year after he passed away. I think it's pretty easy to say the world felt a void by the death of this wonderful and brilliant peasant poet. And frankly, I've been obsessed with his work since I've been here. I'm in disbelief, being honest, that I've never heard of or read anything about Yesenin. His work speaks so much today, so much more with the advent of the internet and television and with everything moving forward with AI, everything that scares the world, that everyone has this longing for something simpler, for the farm life where you can buy cheese on the side of a road from the great-great-granddaughter of peasants who lived there originally. In a world that is so complicated, I'm sure many of you have probably never heard of this kind and gentle voice from among the birch trees. So I wanted to ask my friend one last time to read his final poem in his own words. But before she does that, if you like this video, be sure to like it down below. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or compliments, you can leave them in the comment box down below. I personally read all of them. I really appreciate you sticking around this long. If you enjoyed this video, maybe consider hitting the notification button. Subscribe to my channel. I put out these videos every single week. And if you're new, I would love to see a comment down below of you introducing yourself. I would like to get to know you as a person. Finally, go read some Yesenin. I will leave links in the description down below on, at least in my opinion, some good places for you to start in English. So, love hard, love deep. I will see you all next week. And thank you to my friend for reading this. Take it away.
До свидания, друг мой. До свидания. Милый мой, ты у меня в груди. Предназначенное расставание обещает встречу впереди. До свидания, друг мой, без руки, без слова. Не грусти и не печаль бровей. В этой жизни умирать не ново, но и жить, конечно, не новей.